Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective Podcast. I'm 10 Types, as always, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Hello, welcome. Hopefully you're getting a good start to the new year.
Yeah, this is the first episode of recording this year, and that is coming out this year as well. And today we're talking about the EXs because the EXs have the new lowercase EXs, the ones in standard, because they've been out for now 2 years. We have 2 years worth of them, and we'll be getting some next year as well. That's confirmed, or this year, I suppose. And so that'll be exciting. We're going to get trainers Pokemon, but we've seen a bunch of things. We've seen Terras, we've seen different variations like Stellars. Also, do you think how much of an emphasis this year do you think there will be on Terras? Because like we haven't seen any. We've seen a bunch of trainers Pokemon EXs, and none of them have been Terras. So I'm thinking they might not be. Do you think we'll see a lot of Terras this year or not?
Yeah, I mean Terras have been. I mean they did a little bit with them, but not a lot with the Terra Pokemon. So I'm guessing we're not going to. I mean obviously we're getting the trainers Pokemon, so that's the big thing. That might just. I don't know if that's gonna be more than one set or not. So I'm not. I'm assuming there's
Well, it
not.
will be because there's the rocket stuff, which isn't in the first set.
Okay, so neither the first internationally nor the first Japanese set. That's correct.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so if they're spreading out the trainers Pokemon, then it makes that's going to be the big thing for the year, then, right? It's going to dominate the year, I assume.
Yeah,
The other thing why this is logical, why we think about now, is we've talked about rotation, so it's a couple weeks away, a couple months away, I guess, from when this is going. It's the end of March, I think, on in live, and we're going to lose all the V's, right? All the V's, V Maxes, V Stars. So we're going to have a year of EXs, where EXs are it. We'll probably have something new the following year, but EXs are taking center stage. So that's what we're focusing on. One reason to focus on EXs today.
yeah, and they'll be the only multi-prizers, maybe or maybe not. I don't know. Well, they will be presumably at the time of rotation, though I would not be shocked if we see another variation of the EX mechanic later this year. Some people think there might be megas, um, but definitely reworked some, maybe just reworked a little. But regardless,
But
we each made a top 10 list, and I made an interesting top 10 list here for you. I woke
okay,
up at 1 a.m. was like, I should do something. So I did. And yeah, so you haven't looked at mine yet.
correct.
And there's one that's like a bluer color, but it's in Discord, it's spoilered, so it's just like blurred.
Yeah,
But do you see one that's bluer?
bluer, yes. So open up that one.
Yeah. And tell me what you think about it and react to my list.
All right. So let me just make sure it's okay. So it's displaying okay. Oh, yours displays better in Chrome than mine does. So you see, you got the Pokemon. I'm supposed to know what they are.
Yeah,
These
so
actually aren't the
describes
Pokemon
obviously.
because I guess you're worried about copyright. You're just trying to make my life difficult. So
Exactly. So yeah, can you explain this to the audience who's not necessarily
looking. So
watching
you
it
have one
visually?
through 16. You have which I guess is the questionable. Like
No, that's honorable. Yeah, honorable
honorable
mentions.
mention. Okay, which could be a as well. So we
It could be.
have here, what's it? Pheasantipity, I guess, is the one. It's a pheasant flying.
Yeah, it's a pheasant.
Then you have a dragon here, a red dragon. No,
Oh
number
no,
two
no, no.
is it's a what, a parrot or whatever. So that's Squawkabilly EX. So
Yeah.
we don't want to go through this whole thing, or do we? Um,
Um,
you want me to? Because
no.
I mean, we can. I don't know if it's good for the audience, right?
Let's
So
see.
all right,
Let's go through the top like 10.
I'll go through. So
Let's do
number
that.
three here is what is it? It's like a mechanized um that Japanese
Yeah, Godzilla.
Godzilla, like a mechanized Godzilla. So what is that? And I'm not trying not to look at my list to try to remember what these names could be.
You can look. You can look. It's fine.
So
And also, I just search up Mecha
so
Godzilla.
so is that
This Pokemon.
Dragapult? I guess is that what it is?
No, no.
No, no, they have a dragon. So
This Pokemon might not be on your list.
it's not
It's
Charizard, is it?
No, no.
So I'm not
I'll tell
sure
you,
what it is.
it's Iron Thorns. It's
Oh,
Iron Thorns, obvious.
okay, it's not
No, Iron
yellow.
Thorns
It's
is
black. It's got
yeah. No, the
pokiness.
colors aren't all right.
So okay, so Iron Thorns. Number four is a jet plane. What's a jet plane here? Like a fighter plane. Is it
I don't
Dragapult?
even know if this one's right. No, that one's not Dragonfall. This one's Latias EX, which I don't even know.
Latias.
Like,
which
Um,
I surprised you didn't make the top one after all your praises for that.
yeah, I thought it was good, and I stand by the fact that I think it's good. I haven't seen your list yet. And then
Okay, there's
5,
the
you got
Latias. 5 is Dragapult. Uh,
5?
5 is Regidrago. It's a dragon. It's a
What?
red. Oh, it's Charizard. It's a red
It can't
dragon.
be. Yeah,
So it's
yeah. It can't be
Charizard.
Rochi
Sorry.
Dragon. That's not even an EX.
Yes. Well, it plays like one, right? In a sense. Number
Um,
6 is a
yeah. What?
different type of plane. Oh, it's a stealth. It's like the stealth bomber type thing. Wow, what's that going to be? I'm not sure what that one is. I don't
That
want to
one's
spend
it's
too long.
Dragapult. That's Dragapult.
That one's Dragapult. All right. Oh,
Yeah,
because it's got the little guys flying out of them, attacking you. They are
yeah. And his
dragons.
head looks like a
Oh, I see. The head with the wings coming out, like so. I see. 7 is a pigeon, so I guess that's Pidgeot EX. Not very intimidating, just a pigeon. 8 is Shrek, so you're worried about the copyright issues there.
yeah. No, I'm a little worried now.
I shouldn't have said
But
that, should I? It's
yeah, no, it's some generic
you have 3
green
different
creature.
images of him in different colors. One's green, one is like orange or red, and one is blue. Um, so I'm not sure what that is. So
Oh, oh wait, I realized I forgot the dot next to 13. Well, that's fine.
okay,
So,
yeah, that doesn't ruin it for me. It might already be ruined. But so you want to tell me what number 8 is?
well, what Pokemon has 3 different like versions of itself? One that's green,
Oh,
one
it's the
that's
ogre
orange.
ponds. Oh, the
Yeah,
ogre. Yeah, yeah. The ogre ponds are pretty good. I will. That'll be interesting to see how they fit in our list. 9 is a bear. I mean, I see. I'm bad with like the Pokemon and what they are. Oh, Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. I'm assuming.
yeah,
Okay. 10 is a cat, a regular kind of cat. I guess it's Mew EX.
yeah.
Okay.
And we'll end it there. I'll just quickly read out the rest for anyone
Okay.
interested. If you're not seeing it, 11's a turtle, which is Trap Ghost. 12 is a women, which is pink, which is
Yep.
Gardevoir. And Gardevoir is not pink. It's like, well, I don't think so. It was fairy though, but there's no more fairy.
Okay.
Then 13 is the orange Shrek, which is the Corso Maestro Pontiacs. We
Right.
got giraffe, which has a long neck like a Raging Bolt. Then 15 is I wasn't sure what to do for Raging Bolt, but I went
Okay.
with that. And then 15 is a rat, so that's Pikachu. And 16 is String Cheese, which is Goldango.
Yep.
So
Okay.
of course, and then the honorable mentions are whatever. That's fine. So regardless, I have that. I actually have a bunch more images. They're kind of like the same list. You can look at those. None of them are great. You can like flip through them. The top 10 is like the best one.
All right. So I'll just open these up in the browser quickly. Here it
Oh
is. It's
yeah, you
just
can.
cards with white background. That's fine. All right, flipping tabs here. Let's see. Is that the best one? All right, and here's is
That
cards
is the
laid out.
most.
Oh,
The top 10.
this one's all stretched and weird looking. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's the
unpleasant to
top
look at.
20. And then there's the top 10. The last one's the top 10. That's the best one to look at. But if we want to talk about more than that,
Okay,
then we'll open up
so
something else.
I'll drag your top 10 next to my top
Yeah. And I'm
12
gonna open
is what I actually
your
had.
top
Oh,
12.
sorry.
Okay.
Oh, you hadn't opened yours. So I forgot about that. So
No.
sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna open that now.
Yep.
Oh, as there's 12. That's crazy. So you got yours here, and
Yep.
I'll put it next to, well, not actually next to mine, but next to mine tabs.
Yep.
And okay, we have some differences. So let's go down the list, I think.
Yep.
Starting at the top, we both said Pheasantipity. I think Pheasantipity is a clear cut number one.
Right.
Do you think it is? Because you also had it at number one.
Yeah, no, I think it's the best. It's obviously just hugely played in almost every deck. I avoid it in some decks, but honestly, I find more and more I just got to stick it in the decks I don't want it, the two prize liabilities, because it's so good. And I've actually started to even start attacking with it some, but I'm kind of weird that way. But the attack's actually pretty good if you can get it powered up when you need it, of course.
Yeah, it does 100 snipe for 3 Carlos. If you don't know,
Right.
I don't know if I'd say it's pretty. It's like it's okay. It's
Well,
a usable
you
attack,
can
and it's
fit
3 Carlos, which is nice.
right. It's colorless. You can finish stuff off on the bench, right? So, like I've been playing some Iron Thorns variants, and sometimes the Pheasantipity. You're not one-shotting basically anything with Iron Thorns unless it's a single prize deck, right? So eventually, and you got to move these energies around, so it's not terrible. Of course, you can't use your Pheasantipity when it's on the bench when you
Yeah, I
have
was gonna
Thorns in
say
the
it doesn't. They don't have
active.
the
So
best
it's
synergy,
got,
but
yeah, it might be a bad play. I'm thinking that one through still, but but you power it up, and then your Thorns gets knocked out anyway. And it's got 210 HP. That's the other thing to say, which is nice. Being above 200 does help avoid some knockouts as well.
Yeah. Oh, and the Iron Thorns, that's with like, it's not just Iron Thorns. It's not like Quad Thorns with a Pheasantipede. That would be terrible. It's like, um, it's like Iron Thorns Dragapult, but what's the attacker?
Yeah, with Hisuian Gudra V-Star is what I've been
Okay,
doing
yeah.
lately. So
And I've tried that out. It's fun, I guess. It's like it's not great, but
yeah,
we'll get to that.
yeah, we'll get to Thorns in because Gudra's not going to be on the list certainly. Um,
No. Um, and well, you never know with my list, but yeah. So then, uh, where should we go next?
well, you have 10,
Good.
so you have Squawkabilly as number 2, right? You want to
Mhm.
go so, and I have Squawkabilly down at 6. So you think it's a lot better?
Wait, 7?
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's not.
'Cause
It's not.
you have 6.
It's
I'm
right. It's
making
a
sure.
top. It's a top 12, not a top 10. Sorry. So yeah. So it's 7. So a fairly significant difference. We both think it's top 10, but why don't you make the case for why it is number 2 overall?
Yeah. So Pheasantipede EX. Oh, and there's something else I want to talk about with Pheasantipede EX after. We can talk about it kind of with Squawkabilly.
Okay.
But Squawkabilly EX is a card that they're both really universal. Squawkabilly EX is
Yes.
less universal, probably. But what it is, it's like better. I mean, it draws. Well, I think it's more impactful in the decks that it's played in. It's played in a lot less, but Pheasantipede is really nice for helping you out throughout the course of the game. But
Right.
Squawkabilly enables really fast, like really good turn ones. There are decks like, say, Stereo GX or Vigidraco V Star or Lugia V Star, something where you just want cards in this card where it's good. But then in something like Raging Bull, Yaxadora Pontiacs, or with like a Roaring Mooniacs on the Turbo deck, just Turbo decks, it's the way that the decks work because it's the most explosive draw card in the game. Well, I guess Research is better, but that's a supporter. So on
Right.
top of Research, like outside of supporter, it's the best turn one or the best draw option. And obviously, it only works on turn one, but it's like so good turn one. And yeah, a lot of my Pokemon are a lot of them are basics. I have 3 evolutions on my list. You have more cards on your list, but you have more evolutions in your top 10.
Yeah. I think I have
Not that
4.
many more.
I
Oh
have
wait, you only have 4 in your top 12, so that's not that much more.
right. Just 4, and they are all in the top 10. So just one more, but. Yeah, look, Squawkabilly, and I like universality, which Squawkabilly has. The funny thing to me is the other EXs don't generally that you have on your list aren't yet the EXs that want to go with Squawkabilly, right? For the most part,
Uh,
which is kind of
yeah, yeah.
interesting. Whereas I have, at least right after Squawkabilly, I have like the one of the cards that wants to go with Squawkabilly. I think so.
Gouging Fairy X. It's not Gouging
Exactly.
Fairy. By the way,
No.
if you're not watching it, it's not. It's
No,
a
it's
really
Raging
stupid card.
Bolt. So it goes with Turbo Deck. So the thing is, it's universal in a sense, but Turbo Decks aren't most decks, right? I would say. So
Yeah, yeah. They're like a subset. And then within Turbo decks, there's also a good few Turbo decks that are played. Raging Bolt EX is the main one,
right,
but and it's not just in Turbo decks either. It's probably like half the decks it's in our Turbo decks. And within
yeah,
the Turbo decks, there's a variety of different Turbo decks where none of them are like, in my opinion, truly like dominant. The Raging Bull Ogerpon is a good deck, certainly, but I don't think it's as good as like Charizard EX, for example.
okay. I mean, and I'm looking at in your top whatever top 20, something like Sarah Ledge EX wants Squawkabilly as well, right? Which is a fun one to play for me. So I get it. It's universal. Most decks don't want it still, I would say. And the attack is, I mean, obviously Pheasantipede is not about the attack either, but occasionally you have to attack with Squawkabilly.
Which one has a better attack? Let's get down to the real questions here.
If you can power it up, Pheasantipede EX's attack is better, right, by far,
Well, yeah,
right?
but so Squawkabilly EX is, if you don't know that, I think this one's more known. It's been
Ye-
out for longer,
Yeah,
but for one colorless, it does 20, and then you attach up to 2 basic energy cards from your disco pile to one of your bench Pokemon.
right.
Um, I've
Yes,
definitely used Squawkabilly like a number of times, not consistently, obviously, not something you want to be using, but
no, right. I mean, usually the 20 is not why you do it, although occasionally that might come into play. But accelerating energy is good, and of course they can help you set up. So,
yeah,
and then
and
you're
recovering energy. Like I've had games where and I've had this from me or my opponent where it's like, oh, I'm running out of energies, or my opponent's running out of energies, but they have a Squawkabilly EX in play, which will stop them from running out of energies.
Okay.
And that's more so meaningful if you're like trapping something active, say with control. But
Right.
I definitely think it's I think they both have meaningful attacks, not like
Yeah.
super meaningful, but I do like that with them.
Right. I mean, Squawkabilly EX is 160, which is obviously much worse than what 210, right? It's nothing's there's not an EX below 160, is there?
Um, no, not in standard.
Okay.
So, oh, I do want to talk about though, because Pheasant Nifty EX is very good. Both agree it's the best, and I think most people would agree it's very good.
Yeah.
But Oricorio GX, which was, if you don't know, it's essentially the same thing as Pheasant Nifty EX,
Right.
but that card wasn't like that wasn't that good. I mean, it was like good, but it wasn't the best. It wasn't certainly wasn't the best GX. Really in
No.
anything. It wasn't that close to it.
No, I'm trying to. How do you spell Oricorio, by the way? I'm trying to look it up.
Or it's spelled how it sounds.
Or ORA? It wasn't how I spelled
No
it.
I. It's just spelled how it's spelled.
Okay.
ORICO.
I'm just trying to look it up here because I used it. And I'm trying to remember. I mean, two things. It was 170 HP, right? So that
Yeah, I
is
wonder if that's like,
worse. And
and there
also,
hasn't been that much power creep since then either. I think the main thing, because people do talk about power creep, the big thing was probably with the start of the tag team era, which this was in.
right. So, and then the attack is 3 energy, but one of them's a psychic energy, so it's less universal. And it does 80. The attack is certainly better on Fenzidipity. It does 20
Yeah,
more
but, like it's almost never used either. I don't think like I've barely seen it used.
for the attack.
Yeah, Fizzdipty. Like I've seen it
Yeah.
like once or twice in my time playing the TCG, I think, which is, and I think it's much better than Oricoyo's GX attack or GX, either of its attacks. Its GX attack is not, neither of its attacks are very good, but
No.
yeah,
No, and it would use up your GX for the game. So you probably, that would be a
yeah,
desperation move, probably.
yeah.
I assume you have a better GX attack in your deck, but maybe not. Look, I mean, Fezandipity is not there for the attack, obviously. I don't know early days with Oricorio if it was played more and then tapered off, right? We were playing more later on in the game when Oricorio was still around. Uh,
Yeah, but like, and it was played some. Oh yeah, I'm looking through the Limitless database. The main deck it was played in was Blacephalon. Or wait, it
is
says it's Blacephalon. I don't know if that's
that Baby Blounds or?
yeah, Baby Blounds. It's slash like Firebox as well. I
Mhm.
don't know if how Firebox would be categorized. This gets a little weird, but regardless, yeah. So it was mostly played in single prize decks. Like I think that's a big when Oricorio GX was in the format. People were like, "Oh, this would be good in single prize decks because you get knocked out
Right.
more often, so you can use the ability more."
Yeah.
Um, and I guess there were three prizes. So and like ADP as well, which was a Pokemon that made Pokemon give up multiple prizes, which was both bad for Oricorio GX itself getting knocked out, or for your single prizes, meaning you wouldn't be able to use it as much. But
Yeah.
it wasn't every deck. I think it's a card that was considered overly like it was a good card, but I think some people think it was one of the best cards ever, which it wasn't. I mean, at the time it wasn't format, it wasn't necessarily the best deck in the game. Um, but that could have been why. Also, Dedenne GX was better. Like Dedenne is kind of like Squawkabilly,
Right.
better than Squawkabilly, and then Pheasantipity is like Oricorio, and they're in the same block, and then um, the C block, and then Dedenne was like a card that you could just use so much more. It was like Squawkabilly, but on any turn, and
Right.
then it was on play, but you could use that. And then people are playing this like turbo engine more, but it's interesting like how the cards are so similar. Pheasant Dipty and Oricorio, but then Oricorio is not that like it was good, but not Pheasant Dipty levels of good.
Yeah, interesting the way you talked about it because we have Pheasant Dipity like Oricorio, and yes, Squawkabilly, which is like the Dene. Pheasant Dipity is a better Oricorio. I think we would agree on that. But Pheasant Dipity is a worse Dedenne, right? So, but
Squawkabilly.
Squawkabilly is a worse Dedenne. Sorry, but like you said, Dedenne was probably too good of a card. I think I don't think they're ever going to print a card as good as Dedenne again. Probably.
That's like it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be nerfed in one form or another, right?
Yeah. I mean,
But
like you could argue Charizard EX is better than Dedenne GX, but that was not really comparable.
Well,
You said that like Dedenne is like they're never going to compare card at all better than it.
well, in terms of doing what it does, right? They're going to
Yeah,
do a similar card like they did with Squawkabilly. They nerfed it by making it turn one only, or if you can do it any time in the game, they'll do something to nerf it. Less
yeah,
maybe you draw 5 cards, or I don't know what they'll do if they do something like that. So I mean, so what do you want to do? So Squawkabilly is good. I don't think it's number two, obviously. So
yeah. You think number two's Charizard EX? We'll try it at 5,
yeah,
and obviously it's a very good attacker. Why do you think it's the? I mean, I guess the last what was that last episode? I think I was saying Charizard EX was the best attacker of the year.
right.
I guess I have
And it,
Iron Thorns above Charizard EX, which is an attacker, but it's a little different.
right. I mean, of the regular pure attackers, Charizard is the highest ranked on yours, right? Thorns is an attacker, but it's not a it's not just that,
Yeah, it's
right?
Iron Thorns. It's Iron Thorns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different card.
So yeah, sorry. So and Charizard also has the ability. I think the part of it is I think the ability is great, and I think the ability honestly, I think the ability is
Great.
well. Look, I mean, it powers itself up, and it gives you a bonus energy in the process. How many things do that? Not
Yeah,
many.
but no, it's really good, but I mean, if you look at how it's used, people don't really use it for it. I mean, obviously, its ability is used to power itself up. It almost gives
Yeah.
it a free attack, which is insane. But I kind of lump that in with the attack. You could say it's like the ability, which is very good. But in terms
Well,
of powering up other Pokemon, it's not really used to do that much.
well,
Yes, you can get the extra energy on like somewhere, but usually it's just kind of like thrown away. It could be attached to like Radiant Charizard.
yeah. I mean, obviously, when you talk competitive decks, right, which is, I guess, what you're talking here. Although,
Well, I haven't seen other like casual decks play Charizard to power stuff up. I've seen it with
well,
Reggie Draco.
there's Firebox decks, right? Yeah, there was Reggie
But those
Drago.
don't play. Those play like Magmavis
Yeah,
and like you could play like Armor Rouge. But Charizard, yeah, because it's a stage 2 on play. So
yeah.
like yes, it's good, but you never play it if it didn't have its attack. I don't think.
No, the attack's very good, and the HP, right? Especially when it first came out, right? It's fallen off since it first came out, so that's part of the question too.
I guess. I mean, it might be the best deck in the game right now.
Well, when it was better when it came out, though, right? I think. Well, because the 330 HP was really is not as outstanding as it was when it first came out, right? There's more things at that HP level now than there were.
Yeah, that's true. There are more stage 2 EXs that are played. I guess when it came out, it was. I mean, there's Gardevoir, but that's a little different. It's not an attacker, and it does have less HP and damage itself with its ability.
Right. So, I mean, we're not talking just right now. I think we're kind of talking the life of the card's been around. I
Wait, we
think.
are?
We did.
Oh, I was talking right now.
Okay. I mean,
Um,
I give Charizard. I give a bump partly because of where it's been. So,
yeah, no, I do that too. So
but the 330
that's
HP is still good, right? It's still a very nice number. The attack is good. It's an interesting attack because it scales as the game goes on, right? So obviously, early game only doing 180, you're not one-shotting the multi-price Pokemon. That can be a problem. But when you play against Charizard, you're always having, besides the whole prize map of how you get to your prizes first, you also have to be doing the damage map that goes along with it, right? When do I let my opponent knock me out? You have to kind of
yeah, and with Dustorm as well. Obviously, that's a
yeah.
really strong combo.
Right. So I mean, I think you probably agree it may be the best of the attacking Pokemon, and then it's a matter of how do you rate support versus attacking, right? As well.
Yeah. Also, you did say it doesn't one shot what two prizes or whatever you said. But it does one shot Squawkabilly EX and also
Yes.
Latias EX, and these are both played a lot, generally in like similar decks, the same decks, but to be honest, a lot of the time. But
Right.
and Mew EX as well. I guess that's on mine too. But yeah, Mew oh, it's in the same spot. I was like, it looks it's a different spot in the thing because you have
I have
6,
12. Yeah, it's right.
uh,
But
but
it's
you can one shot those, and that's really nice. It can be really important to your game plan. Sometimes, if you want to knock out 3 2 prizers, then that is something that if you can get a gust in the early game, then you can essentially just like one shot everything kind of from there. I mean, I guess after your charge DX is knocked out, you're only doing 240, which isn't necessarily enough to one shot.
right.
Like obviously it's not enough to one shot charge RDX, but it's you're doing 60 more than you were before. So um, you can go for those early 2 prizes on a weaker 2 prize liability. And Resident
Mm,
EX isn't that, which is also Resident EX doesn't need to be played as early, but in Latias you actually do only one shot with a weakness. But
Right.
Yeah, you can grab one shot on some Pokemon like that.
Yeah. And the other thing, what the ability makes it good, because it powers itself up, you can play 6 energies in your Charizard EX deck, right? That's kind of the standard, the default number, and you'd have to play more if you're having to draw into these cards. Um, so now you've given yourself like 3, 4 more deck slots, right, to work with, and that makes the deck better too, right? Especially for a rare candy deck, you need space for cards.
You do. I don't. I guess, and you certainly take advantage. Like it takes advantage being able to play Dusknoir and Pidgeot,
Right.
Charizard EX, 3 different stage 2 lines, Pidgeot EX, I should say. And yeah, so being able to play that is only. I think there are certain cards that you get to play because you have the ability. But yeah, it's definitely a really strong attacker.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Pidgeot EX, I guess next. That's your
Okay.
third card here,
Yep.
and
And
that card
yeah, so it's
is
high. Let
my
me.
seventh.
Yeah, you're 7. Sorry. So I'll present it because I figure whoever has it higher at this point, let's present. So it's got an attack that you use sometimes, 120, discard a stadium for 2 colorless. So that's okay. But obviously it's there for the ability. Quick search, look once per turn, look for any one card in your deck. So that is tremendous, right? It's kind of close to broken, I would say, as an ability. You still need to
Mhm.
get cards in hand, which is why Pheasantipity, now that that's out, something like that. If you get 3 cards with random cards Pheasantipity, then you probably only need one more card for the Pidgeot, right? If you only have like 2 cards in hand, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to pull off your turn you want. So you need something that gets you raw cards to pair with it. We have it now with Pheasantipity. We had Radiant Greninja. You had, Babero, which was great too if you play that, because now you had guaranteed 5 cards, and now again the Pidgeot EX is getting what you need. So it just helps whatever deck you're playing, and it's got free retreat as well. So once your active is knocked out, now you don't have to worry about what to send to the active. So it's always nice not having to think about something too, so you can think about something else as the game goes on, or worry about those spots where you can't switch in. Or, like if you're not sure what cards you're going to get on your turn, not knowing what your attacker is, having that pivot is just a good thing too.
Yeah, Pidgeot EX. I think the free retreat's like it's really good. Comparing it to, it depends what you're comparing it to. Pheasantipity EX, Squawkabilly EX, I mean BUX has free retreat. Squawkabilly and
Right.
Pheasantipity each have one. And notably, Rescue Board is a card that's good now,
Yes.
and it allows a good chunk of Pokemon to have free retreat. But Pidgeot EX has free retreat comparing to Barrel, which is, I guess, another engine that you mentioned, which has 2 retreats. Same thing with Curlia, that's 2, I believe. Um,
Is it?
I think it is, right.
I don't.
There was something where I thought it was 1. Yeah, no, it's 2. Because I played a Curlia-based control deck. I played a few of them, and Curlia gets stuck in the active sometimes. But yeah, Curlia, just a lot of them have 2 retreat, a lot of generic support Pokemon.
Yeah.
And so having free retreats way better. Having 1 would be okay. Obviously, free is better, but it's not a Pokemon you're worried about getting stuck. And it also has usable attack, even if it does get stuck. So it's a Pokemon that doesn't have like its HP's what its weakness is. Its low HP, which is 280,
Right.
which is 50 lower than Charizard DX, for example. And they're generally played together quite often. A
Yeah.
Pidgeot can definitely be played in other things, but it doesn't feel that bad having 280 HP, despite being noticeably lower. Like this Rockabilly EX's 160 feels way worse than Pheasantipiti's 210,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I haven't like it's not that big of a deal. I feel like.
I think because Pidgeot EX is a stage 2, usually by the time you have Pidgeot EX evolved, you have your attacker set up ready to go. So your opponent then, like if you're playing with Charizard and Pidgeot, most of the time they can't ignore your Charizard EX, right? If they just knock out the Pidgeot EX, now I'm doing 60 more damage with Charizard EX the next turn. So without having to worry about what I do. So usually you have your attacker going, so they have to ignore the Pidgeot EX most of the time.
Yeah, that's true. Pidgeot is as you said, does only get you 1 card, which isn't necessarily always going to get your Charizard up, but or whatever, your attacker is up. But assuming
Right.
you have like really any other cards in your hand that get you somewhere, then it will get you there. Um, and yeah, but I think Pidgeot EX is so. Why is it 3 for you?
Well, it's just a matter, again, it's you got a universality to it, right? Which is why you like Squawkabilly, which I didn't give it as bump a high. I think um, more decks, obviously, basically every deck would like to be able to search for any one card, right? The question is, are you? The biggest question is, are you playing rare candies? If you are, you're playing Pidgeot EX, right? Probably. Or
Um,
you're at least thinking about it now.
what
When
decks play rare candy? I know Charizard does. God for can. Dragon Ball can, but Dragon Ball doesn't even always play rare candy.
right,
Um, and then there's Pidgeot Control, but that's like different. I guess Hydreigon
right.
plays it. And yeah, there aren't like that many rare candy like stage 2 decks. Palkia Dusknoir, like that does that play? I don't really play this deck. Um, no, it doesn't play it. It plays oh yeah, it plays like Greninja. It plays Dusknoir. Um,
So
but yeah, that doesn't like play it. I mean, yeah, it is played a decent amount though. Um,
yeah, I mean it's mostly Charizard decks I'm looking right. In Charizard, it's in the Pidgeot control, like you said. It's yeah, Terapagos may play it.
oh yeah, yeah,
Hydreigon, but it's like 90, like 95% of it maybe is Charizard decks, right? Some Dragapult and stuff, but yeah,
yeah.
it's Charizard. But there's a lot of Charizard, right? I guess is the
There
question.
is, yeah.
Now it will go down once the next set comes out, right? Because with Badoo, you're not going to be able to rare candies as regularly. So I once the in a couple weeks, it's going to drop on my list. I would say.
Yeah. Um, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know how much it'll drop. Like in some ways, it might be nice to have your Pidgeot EX up. And if you have like multiple turns, if you're getting free turns, then getting multiple like a free card every turn is really good. Um,
Yeah, I mean you're going
yeah.
to have the stage one, right? Which basically very few decks play the stage one right now.
Well, if you're item locking your opponent and they're not able to Badoo, then you don't need the stage one, right?
Right, but what happens when your opponent goes second and they item lock you? Do you not? Are you willing to say I'm not going to worry about getting Pidgeot? I don't. We'll see. We're not here to discuss how we build these decks in the post Badoo world, right? There's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
changes with that. So I do look. Pidgeot EX is going to be it wants rare candy decks in general. Any item reliant deck like that's going to be a little worse once Badoo's in format. I don't think that's deniable. How much is the question? We'll see. And then the other thing, well, why don't we talk about some of your other ones? Because obviously we both agree Pidgeot EX is good. It's a matter. It's that relative question of what's better or worse than what else. So why don't we do? Shall we go to Iron Thorns, which you
Yeah, everyone's favorite card, Iron Thorns EX, which I have at 3 here, which I think is, I mean, so it did win the World Championships. That's a meaningful thing. It was the only Pokemon, I was gonna say only Pokemon EX, but only Pokemon to win the, well, Masters Division World Championship.
right?
Um, I don't remember what won the, oh, is it like Ancient Box and, uh, yeah, I don't remember what won the other division.
Yeah,
I
I
want to say
don't.
it was like Regidrago or like Gardevoir or something. But anyways, so Iron Thorns EX is good right now. I think it's a
Yes,
deck that or it's a card that I've been playing a decent. I mean, we just talked about it with Kisu and Kudra V-Star. Obviously Dragapult EX, it's cool there. It can be played on its own, and it's also a card that it's really good on the ladder because it's annoying, and also it's you could play it with Badoo to really annoy your opponent. You could switch between those two, or you could use it to I don't know. It's probably good against Badoo too because it doesn't need to do that much, right?
no, I
But
mean,
regardless, its ability turning off other rule box abilities is obviously very good. Like most of my cards on the list have abilities, and same for yours.
right, and obviously these are all rule box Pokemon because EX. So right, the initialization ability, right, as long as it's in the active spot, it has to be active so you can gust around it. But without rope and format, you don't even need to get a second Thorns on the bench, right? Because as
Yeah,
long as
it
you
was
have
Iron Bundle, but
Uh,
that's not
uh,
played that much.
that's true, but Iron Bundle. But a lot of times you want multiple Thorns anyway, right? You find out what the matchup is, and like especially like a Thorns, Dragapult. You played that. I haven't played that yet. I need to. The Thorns, Suingudra. You see what the matchup is, and then you decide, what you need to do. So a lot,
Yeah,
probably.
but you always like you choose to start Iron Thorns EX, right?
Yeah, going in blind, which is what it is in live. Always start Iron Thorns, which is like it's 4 Thorns. That's the only four in the deck, and probably I don't know what the Dragapult mix is. Um,
Yeah, I think you probably play 4 Dreepy, but also I want to say so I think Uncommon Fossil, I think you'll really enjoy the Dragapult Iron Thorn stack.
okay,
I mean, you've complained about playing against it. It's not the most fun. I don't actually hate playing against it that much though. Iron Thorns is annoying, but generally your opponent will be playing down their Dragapult EX or their Dreepies or Dracloaks or whatever. And so you will be able to gust those up if you really have to use your abilities. Um, but then, like, if you have Gust, it's not like they're applying it tons of pressure just with Iron Thorns. and it's not like they're playing Crushing Hammers or um, what are other disruptive cards in Iron Thorns? I don't know. It's not really disruptive. Though your Iron
Yeah.
Thorns Gudarless plays like Airy, right?
Yeah, it plays Airy, and I don't remember if it has Misfortune Sisters or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was playing a little Snorlax too. I gotta confess. So that
The classics. So
eh,
Action Iron Thorns
eh, well, yeah, I've done that. Yeah, I've done like a Snorlax Thorns.
together.
I I did. Yeah, I think I did with Mimikyu and then Cornerstone Mask Overpower. I just had to try them all out at one point. Just making the goal is just every which way possible to make my opponent's life miserable.
Yeah. Do you play 4 Crushing Hammers?
I don't remember. Obviously, you were starting to run out of deck space. It wasn't the best deck, right? You need to
I
have
guess. I feel like you won't run out of deck space that quickly because they're all basics.
they are. You obviously need probably some engine. I probably put in 4 Pokegear and 4 trekking shoes. I'm guessing. It's been a while since I've played something like that. So
Yeah, regardless. Let's not talk about that. So Iron Thorns though with Dragapult is really solid. It's like a top 5 deck right now, I'd say. Um, in terms of plays online, I think it's okay, it's ninth, but it has picked up. It's a deck that wasn't really on people's radar and it's picked up. So
yeah,
it's a deck that I think is pretty solid. It's and I think it's fun because Iron Thorn GX obviously slows the game down, and then you can build up using Drakehook as a draw card, which
yeah,
you've talked to me a lot off the podcast about, and I'm sure you've talked about a decent amount on the podcast as well with Badoo. But even without Badoo, obviously, being able to have a stage 1 that's good
yes,
that your stage 2 evolves into, like Gardevoir EX's Curlia. Obviously, Gardevoir EX with Iron Thorns EX is really bad because you can't use Gardevoir EX with Iron Thorns EX in the active.
yeah,
Iron Thorns EX does have a 4 retreat cost as well, which is kind of weird. You really,
yeah,
what I'd highly recommend, because I don't remember if you play this. I think you said you added it. Yeah, because you originally net decked the list, right?
yeah. I did, but yeah,
But then you added Future Booster Energy Capsule.
yeah, because that gives you free retreat to your future Pokemon, which obviously every retreat is to cost a 4. In that deck I think before that I might have had one switch or something like that because you can't like a regular Thorns deck you're playing the 4 switch carts, but then once you have an evolution Pokemon as well, obviously the switch carts drops in value. So yeah, because it plays 4 Arven, which is kind of as a lot of decks are, so you can slot in one copy of a couple different tools. So I put the whatever that tool is called again that gives it free retreat.
Yeah, Future Booster Energy Capsule, the
Yeah,
card that's really long. Yeah, so but that's good, and that's actually really meaningful because
yeah,
otherwise, because people don't play a lot of Switch, and you don't want to be putting in like you can't really play Switch card in an Evolution deck and a regular Switch. I mean, it's not that different, but ultimately, just I don't think Switch is that good. It's okay, but it doesn't feel great to play if you could not play it
right,
and replace say like 3 Switch with 1 Future Booster Energy Capsule, and then that's also meaningful for Iron Hands EX, which we'll talk about some. And I think
yeah,
without the Future Booster Energy Capsule, obviously that adds to damage as well. But within the Iron
yeah,
Thorns deck, it doesn't really matter. In all the games I played, it hasn't mattered. But yeah, I think
right,
it's really good against a lot of the metagame. Obviously, what we're looking at right now are just the EXs. So against these cards, it's absurdly good. But against the actual metagame, like turning off Pheasant Nifty EX is really nice.
yep,
Turn 1, turning off Squawkabilly EX. And these are cards that are good. Charizard EX and Pidgey EX completely shuts down. Um, so against some decks, not necessarily all the top decks, but against some of them, it really shuts them down. And some people play counters to it. And then when someone counters it and breaks out for 1 turn, then it might all be over for you. I'm going to be
right,
completely honest, but that's not something that they can necessarily do. And if they don't manage to like completely break out of it, like if they prime catcher, like I played in Switch Draco, they like prime catcher, and then they use their V-Star power, and then they miss the attack or like don't take the knockout, or maybe they do, but I still have another Iron Thorns behind it, and they like say take the knockout with like Guillotine to V-Star. Obviously, in that situation, Alone Executor EX would be better to not lose your energy, but if they have to use Guillotine to V-Star to lose the energy, then they're all of a sudden in a pretty awkward position where they are now still under that ability lock and have used up their V-Star power and stuff like that. So
yep.
it's a card that's pretty difficult to deal with, and it's not a card that you need to commit a lot of things to play. If you want to power it up consistently, you need to commit, but you don't necessarily always need to do that.
Right. I mean, look, first, it gets underappreciated. I think, right? It won Worlds. It never even got a lot of respect for winning Worlds, which it should have. I think deserved. People didn't respect it going into Worlds. Felt it was an okay play, but it was like an okay play if you don't really aren't master the deck, play Thorns, and things might go your way. But it was a good pick, obviously, and it won Worlds, and it's still been, and even after Worlds, it got like no attention. Still, everyone thought it was a fluke.
I mean, I
Um,
think a lot of people didn't want to play it because they didn't want to play against it, which I don't blame people. I don't mind
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, it's right. Do you want to play a quote like toxic deck like that? That's a choice too, right? I get that thought. But I also think people don't respect it, right? Like obviously like Thorn's Dragapult was a surprise that someone came up with that. And obviously the Volt Cyclone has the initialization, shuts down EXs. The attack's interesting. It does 140 for 3 energy, lightning colorless, and you have to move an energy from the active to your bench if you haven't played it. And I think to me, moving that energy and handling that is really important, right? So you need experience with it, also. I would say figuring that
Yeah, because
out.
it can be quite bad. It can. Well, what happens is that you move the energy and then the game just stops. Like your opponent can't do anything, and then you also can't do anything, which isn't ideal, but that is kind of how it can go.
Right, because you're playing especially like a quad Thorns, even like Thorns Gudra. All of a sudden, I have no engine happening, so I'm just top decking. And if I can't switch, and now don't have an energy, I'm not attacking, and we're just staring at each other. It gets unpleasant, I will say. But first, a couple things. It's lightning, which is good. So you're always one-shotting Squawkabilly. As long as you don't have a double turbo, you're one-shotting Pidgeot EX. So that's really good for a counter Pokemon to be able to one-shot some important EXs that are out there for sure.
Yeah, and if you do have double turbo, which you might have, certainly in a quad thorn stack, if you have future booster to capsule on, then you're still taking the one shot as well.
That's right, because that besides free retreat gives you plus 20 damage, which is it's an insanely good tool. Obviously, only for future Pokemon, but then also. But now we have Crispin, so now you can still power it up in 2 turns without the special energy, which then is good, and which is partly why you can do Dragapult, why you can do Hisuian Gudra. It's kind of, in some ways, it's its own thing, but it's also kind of like Arceus V-Star was back in the day, when it was like you could play Arceus V-Star with any other random VMAX, and you could win with it, right? In a certain, I think we're kind of in a sense of you can play Thorns, and there's a whole lot of other things you can try out with Thorns because Thorns is good, and just because of the moving energy, like because both Dragapult and Hisuian Gudra, they don't have lightning energy in common even, and it still works. So that's kind of really, that's
I
very
don't know if
surprising.
it works okay.
Well, it works.
How good do you think? I played it some, but it seemed kind of sketchy when I played it.
It's okay. Look, I think the Dragapult deck is probably better, and there's got to be other ideas out there as well that deserve exploration, right?
Yeah, I will say the Dragapult deck is pretty. It's pretty good. It's like it's a legit deck. It's. I mean, I enjoy it. I've said I enjoy it. I think it's a cool deck, but yeah. Anyway, Iron Thorns. We talked about that enough. I think it
Yeah.
is a really good card, but it's not. It's not. It's like theoretically interesting because it has nuance, but in terms of the actual games, it's kind of boring. But then I have Latias EX at number 5.
Yeah.
No, number 4. I can't count. Oh wait, you don't have Latias EX? Wait, so you said you had.
No.
So you have your top 12 ordered, but you have some other ones.
So
But
where
that you
what
don't have it.
let's see. So I had off my top 12 ones that I'm not showing. I had Chien Pao, which it didn't make the list, but at one
Yeah,
point it
which I
was
forgot about.
in my
But
list.
I don't know. I don't know if it would make it there.
And I had one that probably didn't deserve, but it was in my top 10 originally, and that's Greninja EX. And there's three, of course,
Yeah,
but I think right. It's the fighting
the
type,
flip a
right?
coin one. Oh yeah.
So which searches for any card or no, it searches for a card, right, or whatever it
Yeah.
does. It's good, right? And it's got the spread attack.
It's an okay card. Yeah, it's all right.
So I think I think it's top 20 probably, but I don't know if it's in your top 20 even.
Top. No, it's not.
Okay, so but you said Latias. Let's see. I put it down on my list of like 30, but it wasn't in my list of 20 even. Latias. So,
Oh wow, Latias. Yeah. So I like Latias EX when Surging Sparks was. Wait. So do you have any Surging Sparks cards higher than it?
do I have? I don't
Do you have like Serial Edge or Caledon or like
know.
Pikachu? Yes.
No, I don't have any searching sparks. I consider Pikachu was
Okay.
probably was the closest, I think, from me.
Yeah. So, anyways, you have so Latias EX gives your basics for your tree. Basics are good. It's not really used in decks like if you have a deck where you have like an evolution deck, it's not played in any of those because well, it can give your basics free retreat and have value early on. It's not that much value. Also,
Right.
if you're up against Iron Thorns, it actually has a 2 retreat cost, so it can get stuck in the active there, which is something. But regardless, you have Latias EX with its attack's also usable, I guess. I don't know. I've heard some people say its attack's really good, and it's not that good, but it's like usable on like Lost Zone or something. But people don't play on Lost Zone. Regardless, what it's good in is it's really good. My two favorite decks from this format are Iron Thorns EX, so Dragapult EX, and Latias EX. Well, no, not really Latias EX deck, but it's the Cloth Trapghost EX deck.
Right.
And Latias EX is a really good enabler for that deck. I think if that card wasn't out, it would be bad. I mean, it didn't get that many new cards. And so Latias EX allows decks that are basic focus decks to play different Pokemon and have a lot more options and be able to use the different options better and really make the best use of the fact that basic Pokemon take up less deck slots, which I think is really
Yeah.
good. And it's a card that you can't see its value super well just by looking at like the metagame. But basic decks have become better this format. I think a big part is due to Latias EX. Latias EX isn't played in all of them. Notably, it's not played in Regional EX, which I feel like it could be. I don't play that deck, but obviously it's played a bunch. But it's a deck that I feel like could get value out of it, but certainly it's very good in a number of decks and to me, a really cool card and a really strong card. Um, Kind of insane in the decks that it can be played in.
Yeah, I mean, for retreat is a big deal, so I get that, and it's played a decent number of decks, and I'm just looking at the Limitless page. I mean, the thing I don't think the attack's very useful. It's 3 energy, two being psychic, so I don't think most decks
Yeah, and it does
can attack
200.
with it.
Oh yeah, and all these decks it's played and it can attack, but
Right.
um,
Like you got Roaring Moon, you got the Cloth, you got Terapagos. So they're not attacking with it. Mostly Cloth, Terapagos, Miraidon as well. So it's yeah. Look, I just you have other ways to switch and retreat. So you got some tools that help and such. So you got a stadium
nah.
out there.
Don't worry about that
You got
too
Switch, we have Professor
much.
Turo's
What?
scenario. We got
Yeah, we
Penny.
got Switch Cart too,
So,
but I was playing Switch Cart.
yeah, I guess because rope rotated from format, now we desperately need Latias, right? That's your argument. So
Exactly. I didn't play Rope either. But no, I don't even play that much on the SEX. But I played it in the Trapio second. It's kind of insane. Like it's one of the like within that deck I get Pheasant Nifty EX. You obviously need an attacker at turn when you get Squawkabilly EX, and then you get Latias EX because that's really important. You can and it allows you to use abilities on like basics if they're inactive. The main ones are Rangroot V actually, which isn't like that good, but it allows you to essentially have access to Force Seal Stone at any point. Which obviously Force Seal Stone's a really good card, but generally a card people use early. Because
yeah,
if you attach it to a Pokemon, just leave it there, then it can just get lost vacuumed. And if you don't
right.
attach it to a Pokemon, then you could just get like Ionoed, and then you'd never like see it again. But now you can guarantee see it, assuming your opponent doesn't like ability lock you or knock out your like something like your Latias CX or your Rangaroo V. But like, why would they do that? As opposed to knock out your attacker, which is actually like knocking him out. So ultimately, Latias X I think is very good. I'm probably overrating it. I was like, oh, I could just go with the cards that the data says are the best, but I think Latias X is
Yeah,
um, I mean, it's very good.
yeah. Look, it's okay. Like I said, I don't feel bad that I didn't put it in my top 12, so I'm not gonna cry about that. I'm not. I don't feel like I missed it. In I think I did think about it. I don't.
I think it's better than 30 or whatever, or 20.
Maybe it deserves, maybe it should go in the top 20. Although, look, at the end, I want to mention some of these cards that aren't here, but I don't want to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that yet. Well, because obviously we've been talking a lot. We'll have to speed things up, I assume. But we've talked about a lot of the
Just
cards.
like Latias speeds things up because it's nice and speedy.
It's a jet plane, right? Was that your image of it?
Yeah, which I didn't know. I was like, what is Latias? What should I use as the image for Latias?
Yeah.
So what do we have next? Oh, Gardevoir EX. That one's not on my top 10. That is on my. It's what is?
Wow.
That's 12. Okay, so that's 12.
Gardevoir's like one of the best. All right, so obviously everyone knows Psychic Embrace ability, accelerate a Psychic energy from the discard to as much as you want. 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Can't knock yourself out. The attack, which is just tremendous, right? Unlimited energy
Because then
accelerate.
it won't let you knock yourself out. Not like, oh, if you're gonna knock yourself out, and whatever.
Well, in the
Just,
game, right? Like Dusknoir like half of Dusknoir's good thing is that it knocks itself out, right?
um, I don't know about
Well,
that,
with
but
Charizard DX, sometimes if you could just knock yourself out and not do damage, you might play that card too, right? In your deck.
I don't know. Probably not, but obviously that does have value, but not that
So
much
I
value.
no, it's yeah. I mean, look, it obviously they don't want, especially in expanded format, the things that you can knock yourself out they don't like. So that's why they put that there, right? Otherwise, they probably would have banned Gardevoir from expanded. Yeah, which we would,
Yeah, no.
which we don't want to see. But look, the ability is super great. I think of the abilities so far, this might be the best ability of these Pokemon.
Yeah, just like in a vacuum, because it is a stage
Yeah,
2, so it should have a good ability. And it's
right.
only played really for its ability. I mean, its attack certainly fine. I guess
Well, the
it's all
attack's
right. I mean,
pretty
it's
good. Obviously, it does 190, so you're not one-shotting any multi-prize Pokemon for the most part. Obviously, you got
yeah. Well, you
Squawkabilly
can't say like
and a few.
Gardevoir's attack's good and Latias EX's attack's bad, which is like
Well, I can power.
objectively better.
Well, here's the difference. I can power up Gardevoir. I can't power up Latias, and most of the decks are playing Latias, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, Latias attacks is useless if I don't have the psychic energy, and I need 3 turns to just attach to it while I'm not doing attacking with something else, right? For Latias, with Gardevoir, I just power it up. So now I'm reducing my HP right down below 300, so that's not great. But the 190 on something that's not getting one shot, it's a use. You keep it in mind, right? It's not the main attacker. It's obviously very versatile. It is a one deck card. It is like Charizard, right? Basically, Gardevoir is the deck, but it is a tool. It is a box style deck, right? Because you have different attackers, so it's more versatile than Charizard EX. So look, the ability is just great. It does great things. Obviously, Curlia, which you mentioned, is a tremendous engine. So it's still real. That makes it better too, right? When rotation hits, we lose Curlia. I'm not sure. I don't think Gardevoir is going to go away because the ability is that good. But Gardevoir definitely moves down the list once rotation hits, in my mind.
Yeah, no, I think Gardevoir's good. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't take advantage of accelerating a bunch of energy in the metagame, which is kind of weird. And so that's kind of why I have it lower. Like, yes, getting energy on your Pokemon is nice, but in the decks it's played in, it's mostly played in them to allow you to get damage on them.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's
which isn't like,
Look, that's the interesting thing with Gardevoir because a year ago before rotation, it was all about getting as much energy on, and you would love to heal off the energy and stuff, right? Because you had
yeah, the damage. Yeah.
right the Zacian and
Now you
stuff.
can, now there are times when you want to remove the energy.
Right now, you want to get the energy off and leave the damage. So it's interesting. That's part of what to me makes Gardevoir better. It's got a whole different use scene. One, it was because it does energy and damage. One time it was energy. Right now, it's damage is what you want. So I think
Yeah.
that's a plus for the card.
You should play Dodrio with Driftblim.
Doge. Okay. I haven't done
Or
that.
maybe you should play Dodrio with like some Gardevoir deck and Thorin.
Oh, so I can Thornton, and then I can get I can Thornton into the Doduo with the damage on it because I can't accelerate to
Yep.
Dodrio or Doduo because it's not psychic type.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a thought there. It's a thought. And
Yeah, great idea.
I mean, it's this type of thing I'd like to do, but we'll see. That's not what we want to talk about here. So, look, you agree it's very good. Obviously it's not top 10 for you. Is it a top 15 card in your mind?
Yeah. Well, I have the
Oh, the other one.
yeah,
Let's see.
it's
So it's
12.
12. So okay. So and it is a one. The Gardevoir is its own deck. So I think that's a negative in my mind.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
not
could
like
take
in
that
other
into
decks. Yeah.
account.
Then next you have TMS Ogre EX at 5, and I
5.
have it at 8.
Right.
Which is played in, well, it's played in 2 decks of Raging Bolt EX, which you have lower. I don't have on the list at all. And
Yeah.
then it's played in Regidraco V-Star as well.
Yeah. Look, it's very good. Its ability, right? It accelerates energies, draws cards. So it gives an engine as well as it gets the energies into play that you need to. It's grass type, and we both see Charizard as a very good attacker. So obviously hitting for grass weakness makes that helps with it. So it's just it's a very good card, right? 210 HP is okay. You'd like it to be higher, but it's not terrible. I think it's appropriately placed the HP. So and it is a Terra Pokemon, so you can take advantage of things that need a Terra, right? You can play it with the colorless. draw Pokemon, right? Search
Oh,
Pokemon.
it knocked out. Yeah.
Noctowl, right? So any Ogerpon you can play with Noctowl too, and that's a plus too.
Yeah. I think it's good. It ultimately sees a ton of play in multiple top, like it's a 4 of or 3 of, and I guess it's like a 3 of in multiple top tier decks, but
Right.
um, it's not like it's a driving factor within those decks, but it's not like the reason those decks are good. Not the solo reason, not the main reason. The main reason is the attacker. But yeah, it's good. I don't think there's too much to say about this card. I mean, I don't really care that much about it, to be honest.
No, it's a good card. I think what 5 versus 8. That's not. We're kind of similar in our mindsets. I don't think that's a huge distinction.
Yeah. Then Dragapult, we each have at 6 actually, so we do
Yep.
agree on that one. And it's I mean, we were talking about it a bunch with Iron Thorns. A
Yeah.
lot of stuff we said about Charizard, or a lot of the stuff that is said about Charizard can be said about Dragapult. Obviously, it doesn't power itself up,
Right.
but it is a card that is a very strong stage 2 that like kind of is good. It's also played in Regidrago V-Star, which is really meaningful. I think it's
Yeah.
I give it more points for being its own deck than with Regidrago V-Star, despite Regidrago V-Star being a better deck. Though I do think Iron Thorns EX, with Dragapult EX, as I said, is a very good deck.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's. I probably, if there wasn't for Regidrago, I'd probably have it lower on the list. I think. Look, I obviously
Yeah,
200 damage is solid. Spreading placing 6 damage counters on the bench any way you want is tremendous. And because it has the Dreepy, it's gonna. It
the
doesn't go
Dracula.
the Drake look. Sorry, the Drake look with the look at the top two, put one in hand. When Badoo comes out shortly, Dragapult stick it doesn't suffer from that, right? It actually, I think, it moves up in terms of its power with the Badoo coming out.
Yeah, that definitely. I agree with that. But anyways, and then I have Pidgeot next. You have Squawkabilly. Okay, the Raging Bolt. So I didn't have Raging Bolt. I had it
Right,
at 6, 12, 14.
14. Right,
So it's like lower, not completely um far away. I mean, you have it at but 7 or 8. You have it at
right.
8. And like I mean, it's good. We talked about the TMS Sugar Bun. I feel like there's not too much to say about it as well. It's obviously very strong, but it's like we talked about Squawkabilly and we talked about Dogger Pond, and those are
Yeah,
big driving factors within that deck.
right. I mean, it's the only big basic beatdown stick on either of our lists, right? Yeah, I don't think obviously Iron
Well,
Thorns
I
is a
don't know. What do
big
you mean, like,
basic. Well, like Iron
I'd say
Thorns,
Beat Stick is like a Pokemon that can take damage. I guess that's the highest HP, but yeah, I was thinking Iron Thorns.
Raging Bolt does big damage, right? Generally, a big basic deck also dishes out big damage, which like Iron Thorns does not do,
Yeah,
right?
I guess the other Pokemon that's a big basic, which we'll talk about now, is Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. Actually, wait,
Yes,
your last 3 are all basics. So Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, I have at 9, you have at 12. I
yep,
think it's really good because its HP is really high, like it's kind of absurdly high. Its
yeah,
damage output is really good. Its ability obviously means it's a really good attacker late game, though not an attacker early game really at all. But Blood Moon Ursaluna EX is, I think, like a kind of insane card that I don't play that much. But it's a card.
right.
Ultimately, it's not really a card you can build around. You can kind of build around it with Duststorm if you really try, but it's not that good. But yeah, it's very strong on the turn. You can use it. It's like the best Pokemon in the game, or it's like the best Pokemon ever printed on that one turn.
Yes.
But it's only really usable on 1, 2 turns. You can power it up in other ways. I guess it's like good in Lugia, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very good. I mean, I had it 12, so I'm obviously not rating as high as you. It does that one big turn, right? So does your deck work with that, right? That's a big question. And usually you double turbo, you're not 220, but that's usually not that big of a difference, right, in terms of damage. So because you're
Yeah, meaningful for like Raging Bolt EX, which is I mean like for example, our Caledon EX is playing or sometimes plays Starmie, plays some damage buffs. It hits naturally 220.
yeah, so it's good. It's just right. It's only in some decks, so it's situational. It's and obviously in those decks, it's a one of play in some games, right? So that it moves down because of that. Is what I'd say.
Yeah. hmm and then you have we'll talk about Mew EX. You have at 10 for you, and I also have
Right.
at 10. And yeah, I think that card's good because it I mean it's so versatile. no pun intended. I mean, it doesn't have versatile, but a lot do. But anyways, it has a nice ability, nice attack.
Right.
When I say nice, like decent, not amazing, but pretty solid.
Yeah.
Free retreat's good. Its
Hmm.
HP's low, but whatever. And yeah, I mean, it's just a good Pokemon. I want to say like good as in like actually good, not like okay, aka outclassed by everything. No, it's good.
Yeah, it's good, but it's not great, which to me is good design, right? The restart ability is kind of often what it's played for in decks. All right, you draw to 3 cards at hand, but you have to obviously have less than 3 cards to get something out of it. But that can be important depending on your deck, right? It's I think it's the play of Mew has fallen off over time. Obviously now that you have like Pheasantipity, most decks would rather have that than
Yeah.
Mew in terms of getting some cards. But the attack is important, obviously, if you can power it up. And free retreat and 1 HP, obviously, is when you compare it to something like Squawkabilly or Lumineon V, you have a little more HP than those. So that's a plus as well. So it's just, it's a good card, obviously, that has a lot of use cases in a number of decks.
Yeah, and then the last card you have on your top 12 is Iron Hands EX,
Right.
which has Ampu very much, everyone's favorite attack. And yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you'll talk about it.
Right. So, yeah. So, look, it's very good. It didn't quite make the top 10 as number 11. Obviously, you got to get powered up. That's the question. Because Ampu very much, you take an extra prize card when you knock out your opponent's a Pokemon with it. It does 120 damage. It's 4 energy, 1 lightning, and 3 colorless. You could have double turbo, but then you're down to 100. So it's very good against potentially against single prize decks. Lost Zone was certainly a common use case for it. Probably might be the biggest one.
Wait, like with it or like if you're
Within
against
Lost
lost?
Zone, right? You need a
Yeah.
way to power it up, and obviously against it's good too because you're now one-shotting Pokemon with it. So you've got to have some way to power it up. Obviously, you can go in Charizard again with the ability that powers up everything. Like I've said repeatedly,
Yeah.
you keep putting
Uh-huh.
down, but hey, you could do it, right? People have done that, right?
Maybe.
Oh, come on. They online and probably IRL as well. But that it doesn't really matter for this. So the first attack's pretty good too. It does 160, right? It's not great, but it does more damage for less energy. So it's important in decks that play it. I've played it in some future boxes, right, with the single prize Mariah that powers up, and you have
Yeah, and Iron Crown EX had damage and the tool as well, which we talked about some, but
right.
it's more meaningful for Iron Hands with the damage buff.
Right, because you get the tool that goes 20, and each Iron Crown EX you have it stacks, right? It's been so long, right?
Yeah, it all
So it
stacks.
gives 20 more. So you can now one shot more things with Iron Hand. So it's good. The problem is powering it up, right? And the retreat cost is 4, but you need the tool. That the tool solves that problem. So that's the case of why it's a top card.
Yeah, I added at 18 here. I think it's okay. If this was a while ago, I would have ranked it higher against the current metagame, and within the current metagame, it doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's not a bad card either. And then in my top 12, I have Trapagos EX at number 11, which I think is quite good.
Yeah.
It's ultimately a card that isn't super interesting. With the Trapagos deck when it came out with Noctowl, Bouffalant, Fanrotom, I really loved the deck. But the thing I found the most boring was Trapagos itself. It's like Area Zero Under Depths is cool, but
Yeah.
Trapagos EX isn't very interesting.
Hmm.
But it's pretty good. Its second attack is actually usable against basics. It is good. Though it's not great because they often have a bunch of gust. I think
Yeah.
what should we go through the rest of the
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
cards again?
So Terapagos is definitely. Let me just say these are the ones I had circled. That these are the ones I've noted that I had some consideration to be in my top 12. One was Terapagos. One was Chien Pao, which you left off completely, right? Was that
Yeah,
one
I didn't
thing?
have Champ. I mean, Chimpow's
It
it's okay. Right now, it's not even that good.
it was
I
great
think
though, right? It was
well,
like
yeah, it was
top.
great, but that's not now.
No, I know. Well,
I said I'm only grading it on now, so um, yeah,
yeah, that's the question, right? To me, I think the past gives it a bit of a boost, but how much is the question, right? I don't know. Um,
yeah,
with that. So anyway, that was there. The Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. Do you have that in your list? Yeah, you do. You
yeah.
have
That's
that.
my 13th.
Yeah, so that's very good. It's got the walling ability. I don't know if you want to say more about that or not.
I think it's a kind of broken card, at times, but right now it's okay.
Right, it's situational. I have Greninja EX, which I think is pretty good. You don't have that.
Greninja EX, no, Greninja EX is like fun. It's okay. I guess I mean, it doesn't even see that much play. It's fun, but that's like that much of a compliment. That's almost like an insult, but that's what I say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's better than that, right? I mean, I'm looking at it's seen a little bit of play IRL, not a lot. Um, there are players that like to play decks that are a little trickier, I guess, that are playing it as I look at it, which makes sense, right?
Yeah, I guess you can see it in like, I mean, it's played in Palkia some.
Right, like Palkia, Dusknoir, basically it's played in Palkia when they played it. Lugia. I
Lugia?
there's a Lugia list. It says Lugia Archeops. Yeah, Toronto. That came in.
Okay.
I don't ask me. It wasn't my. I didn't think of that one. Someone's thinking more outside the box than I am there. Anyway, it's pretty good. I guess I can get where it doesn't deserve. I just like it a lot. What was it? What did I say? Oh, I said Greninja Goldengo EX. Do you have that? Yeah, you have that.
Yeah, that at it's 16, I think.
Yeah, so and that's very good. The attack's very good. The ability's very good as well, right? And people like it. I like it. It's fun to play. I have Maridon EX, which you completely ignored. So you're going to get
No,
a
I
lot
have it. It's at 23.
of.
It's all
All
right.
right, it's not in your top 20. Oh,
Yeah, it's on the
you were serious. Oh, what the other
it's the
one?
motorcycle. Yeah, it's the motorcycle. It's in my honorable mentions.
Okay, and you have this other slide as well, which okay. So
The
anyway,
stretch card slide.
it's done well. I think that one to me could have been in the top 12.
Yeah. Again, that one like gets stuff from being like having a long history. But
Yeah, it did
I'm
well at
not reading it
Worlds
for that. So
as well,
yeah, which
and
was
such.
10 million years ago.
Yeah, it's a card that people like and want to do well, and it gets a lot of attention when it does well, right? So,
Yeah,
that's
I don't get why people like it so much. It's like not even. It's not interesting. Like if it was a cool card, I'd be like, yeah, that'd be fun. But it's kind of boring.
the attack's pretty boring, right? The ability is good. Obviously, without the ability,
I
it
guess.
wouldn't be as
Yeah.
good. And then I have Roaring Moon EX, which I think you have as well on your
Yeah.
list someplace. So, which is another good basic that hits for big damage. Although it didn't make your top 20, so it would have been on my top
No, it's
20.
just outside of that. Yeah. And then I had Pikachu X. Pikachu X, I think is like good.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of
yep.
it's like probably the best attacker in the game if you can attack with it every turn. Which isn't really doable that often,
Yeah.
but if you can, like within Lost Zone, it's kind of insane. Then I had Goldengo. Oh, maybe you said Goldengo. Wellspring Mass Ogre Piny X, I think, is also pretty good.
Hmm.
I think it's pretty underrated. It's like kind of weird to play, but it has a control element and can do a bunch of things. There's the turn one torrential pump, which I've never seen anyone do, but that's kind of insane if you could pull it off.
Right.
And then Serial GX. Serial GX is a pretty solid attacker. Oh, I have 3 cards from the new set. Well, I have a few Pikachu EX and Latias EX. They're also from the new set, but our Caledon EX, Dragon EX, and Serial GX are also all 3 of those are okay.
Yeah.
Then Pekron EX I think is also good. That one within the Trap Ghost EX, it's not even that good in that deck, but go with the Roaring Moon EX. I don't know. I think it's a fun card. It's a pretty decent card as well.
Yeah, I mean there are other I think some pretty good cards that we left off too, that people will probably be annoyed about. But I assume you don't want me to
Like
keep
the
listing
Greninja
cards.
EX,
What's that?
the other Greninja EX,
We
and the
got
other Greninja EX.
we got Noivern EX. We got Iron Leaves. I don't think did we mention Hydreigon? Oh, you got Hydreigon there.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's a few other Luxray EX. You know, one of those control cards. Alakazam EX hits attacks from the bench. How can you not put that in the top, right?
Yeah, everyone's favorite card.
Oh, it
How
makes
are you scrolling through?
I'm just looking. No, these were potential. These were when I went through initially. Those are some of the
EX
cards
is decent.
I put down. So, you know, they have some interest. So I did, you know. So anyway, there's a lot of good Palafin EX. Come on,
Go.
you got to like that mechanic, right?
I guess it's like such a boring Pokemon on system play, but
Yeah. So
it's a cool card.
yeah, no, it is. So anyway, so our lists are a little different, but there's a lot of good EXs, right? And I think moving to the all EX era, I think the game's pretty well positioned, is my thought. So I think what's happened is when they put the tag teams in, the HP was too high in a lot of ways, or people didn't like the 3 prize cards, right? So that they made the V.
Well, yeah, but people didn't mind like V unions. I think the tag teams were
Well,
just too good,
no, but so
and
here's
like people don't mind V maxes now. Oh,
no, yeah, but what happened is they made the V Maxes, I think, in a way to get away from the 3 prize cards. They were 3 prize cards, but it's not a basic. But they felt I think they needed a 3 prize card to compete with the GX the tag teams. So now, hopefully, I'm thinking now that the V Maxes rotate, now hopefully they don't need to stick a 3 prize card back in. That's one of my hopes for the
Mega
year.
EXs, 3 prize Mega
I don't
EXs.
want to see 3 prize cards in the game. Unless it's like the V Union where it's like basically so hard to get in play, they're not very good. I can live with that, but I don't think that adds to the game. But anyway, so I think the game's a good place with these EXs. Is what I thought. Is my thought. As we're winding
Yeah.
down here.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see like a 3-prize Dusknoir that like knocks itself out and then knocks out like 3 of your opponent's Pokemon.
Yeah, or maybe they'll make a 4-prize Dusknoir, knocks itself out, and you wipe out your opponent's bench instantly.
Yeah,
a full
something like
bench. So
anyway, so we've thought of brilliant ideas here. But regardless, we hope you enjoyed the podcast episode. Tell us down below what you think the best EXs are in the game right now, or older, like, or just whatever. But we hope you enjoy the podcast. Consider checking us out on either of our YouTube channels, 10 Types or Uncommon Fossil. And also you can check us out on podcasting platforms to just listen. Or I think YouTube Premium, you can like just listen. I don't have that. But anyways, we hope you enjoyed, and we're excited to see you in the next episode.
take care.